Hey, welcome Beyond the Oak. My name is Jordan, and today I'm going to show you how I built a versatile welcome sign that not only holds a plant, but also has a reversible chalkboard and dry erase panel. It's a simple project, beginner friendly, and super useful for any occasion. Let's get started. To begin this project, I'll start by cutting all my boards down to size at the miter saw. This project only uses a couple of 2x4s, a 2x8, and a 2x2, so it's really beginner friendly. There is a link for the build plans in the video description that provides a detailed cut list of all the cuts I'm making right now. Before I began assembling the sign together, I chose to go ahead and sand all the pieces. It's a lot easier to do this now than after assembly. After that, I laid out what would make up the frame. With the help of a clamp, I drilled pilot holes on the outside of the legs with a countersink drill bit and followed that with fastening 2 wood screws to each side. I'm using a countersink bit so I can plug the holes later and hide the screws, but that's optional. You could also leave the screw heads visible and use color-matched screws to blend with your finish. Next, I added the piece that the welcome sign message will be applied to. I centered it up on each leg and made sure all the pieces were flush with one another. I applied the clamp and repeated the process of the pilot holes and wood screws. After that, I set the frame upside down and slid in the piece that will support the plant and fastened it to the message sign with screws. I then moved the project to the floor while keeping it upside down and placed the bottom plank on the bottom of the frame. After eyeballing the overhang the best I could, I drove 6 screws through the bottom and into the frame. I followed that with flipping the frame right side up and placing the top piece on the top of the frame with the beveled edges facing down. I then drilled 3 pilot holes with the countersink bit and followed with the screws. After countersinking the screws during assembly, I went back and plugged the holes. I used a plug cutter bit on a scrap piece of wood to make the plugs. Then I added a drop of glue in each hole and set the plugs in place. With a mallet, I tapped them down, and to finish, I used a flush trim saw to remove the excess. Now, I wanted this welcome sign to do more than just hold a plant. I'd like it to work for just about any occasion, so I decided to make a frame so you could write things like birthday party or baby shower, or maybe just use it for your craft show booth with your business name on it. To do this, I grabbed a panel from the home center that's chalkboard on one side and dry erase on the other. I cut the frame pieces at the miter saw with a 45-degree miter on each end and then added a groove for the panel to slide into at the table saw, and followed that by cutting the panel down to size so it would fit perfectly. Now, before I put the frame together, I wanted to get all the pieces finished, so I laid out my drop cloth and brought over all the pieces including the sign. I chose brushing on a deck stain, but you could also go with paint or a clear coat if that's more your style. I applied 2 coats, and after that dried, I brought the sign back over to the workbench to apply the welcome stencil. After centering the stencil, I laid some painter's tape down to keep it in place. Now, when it comes to stenciling, I'll be honest, you're probably better off watching somebody else on YouTube for a full tutorial. I picked up a few tips from them, and here's the gist. Dip your brush in the paint, then wipe about 90% of it back off on a paper towel. After that, just start dabbing it onto the wood, do a couple of light coats, peel off the stencil, and then cross your fingers like I do that there's no bleed through. And if you do get a little bit of bleed through, don't panic, you can touch it up with a paper towel and mineral spirits. Ask me how I know. Anyways, moving on. Now is a good time to add the screw eyes for the plant and double-sided sign to hook onto. I just drilled pilot holes and twisted them in by hand. After that, I sat it aside and shifted my focus back to the double-sided frame. After laying out each piece, I began assembling 3 of the 4 frame pieces together with glue and brad nails. If you don't have a brad nailer, you could just keep using the same screws with the pilot holes. I was then able to slide the panel down into the grooves and cap it off with the 4th frame piece, following the same steps. The last thing to do was to add the screw hooks to the top of the frame. I drilled the pilot holes and fastened those down with my hand. And after all that work, this is what I ended up with. A versatile sign for any occasion, or the option to have a decorative flower arrangement. I hope this video gives you some ideas for your future projects, and if you enjoyed it, hit that like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the build. Don't forget about the build plans, including all the links to the tools and supplies that you can find in the video description. Now, the Bible verse to wrap up this video will be John chapter 8, verse 12. And Jesus says here, "I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness, because you will have the light that leads to life." God is great. Thanks again for watching.